On this week's Gridiron Report, we have the Lions are back in action after their bye week, the Michigan versus Michigan State football game, and a blind ranking of Detroit jerseys. And it's all brought to you by Pins and Aces, our favorite spot for all our golf apparel needs. Use promo code GRIT for 21% off any product at pinsandaces.com. So let's get into it.
In the heart of the city where the lights grow dim, grit and grind every inch, every rim. From the underdogs rising to the legends that win. It's the grit iron report, let the games begin. Every highlight's a journey, roads paved with fire, sweat, tears, and hustle that never expire. From the rookies on the rise to the old hands retire. Grit iron is the place for fans to conspire. Hustle on blast, beats thundering loud. Champions are born from the roar of the crowd. The grit iron report where the stories are proud.
Well, welcome to the Gridiron Report, your Lions First All Detroit Sports podcast presented by Mic Drop Studios. Today is Wednesday, October 29th, and happy Halloween, Kyle. Shout out to the Michigan State Spartans for doing their best at giving us the scariest offense that they could muster up, and it's a lackluster performance. But nonetheless, happy Halloween, my friend.
Happy Halloween to you as well, man. Yeah, what a spooky performance by the Michigan State Spartans, and specifically that offense, which just the entire game, and not that we thought that anything else was going to happen, but the entire game, I mean, that offense was just horrendous, just couldn't move the ball, except for a couple of big chunk plays, and yeah, it was just absolutely spooky. So yeah, happy Halloween. I would love to hear your overall thoughts of this, but mine, I will say, especially in the first half, like that first quarter and a half, it took everything in my power, Tyler, not to turn this game off, because like it was so sad. Offense couldn't move the ball. Michigan wasn't even playing that great, but they were getting, they were moving the ball enough to score. And it seemed like when Michigan was up 2 scores in the first half, like it seemed like the game was over, and I wanted to turn it off. I wanted to get a little bit less sad, and kept watching it, just hated what I saw from the offense, hated what I saw from the refs. There's just so much that like was pissing me off from this game, like as if like we needed another hurdle that we had to jump through, because our offense and defense, pretty much every facet of the ball for the Spartans is just not good. They're not a good team. So the last thing that you need is just horrendous calls from the refs too to overcome and potentially win this game. So yeah, just all in all, just a sad Saturday, man.
Yeah, so Michigan ended up winning that game 31-20. We have a breakdown of this game. We have like we mentioned in the intro, we'll do our Lions preview of the Vikings game now that they're back from the bye. And then we have a quick game because we have no Lions game to review. We have a quick game to play blind ranking with Kyle. So yeah, let's get into this one. Like you mentioned, it was a really bad game. The weather, it was freezing. We were up at Michigan State tailgating. And so first of all, shout out to, I think, both Spartans and Wolverines. I saw kind of a little bit of both. Campus was amazing. Like it was, we thought we were getting there early, and it was packed. Like comparatively to homecoming a few weeks ago for the Spartans, when it was pretty dead. Like I was honestly shocked at how dead it was. This place was bumping on Saturday night for the game. Maybe it was just because it was Michigan State. You had both teams there, both fans there. Maybe it was a little bit nicer weather. The homecoming game was a noon game. This is a night game, so maybe it's a little bit of that. Campus was amazing. So like shout out to all the fans that came out and tailgated the terrible game. Yeah, the product on the field, it really seemed like in the first half neither team wanted to win. Like I thought we thought that this Michigan State had a decent offense, right? At times they've been in games, and the offense have at least kept them in games as much as they could. The defense was always Swiss cheese, but like against USC, you felt like the offense was playing pretty well, and Aiden Childs showed flashes, and he was able to to keep us in games, put up some points. Offense was non-existent. On the Michigan side, there's been times Bryce Underwood has shown you his 5-star plus ability, and there's been other times when he's shown his rookie or his freshman mistakes. He played terrible as well. So like it really seemed, at least in the first half, that neither team wanted to win this game. At the end of the day, it's 10-7 at halftime, but at the end of the day, Michigan State ends up losing by 11. So just the overall stats: Bryce Underwood finished 8 of 17 for 86 yards, which is, I mean, embarrassing. Michigan State got embarrassed, but like that's embarrassing for Michigan. You had Aiden Childs, who finished the game with 14 for 28 and 130 yards. So like not much better, but I guess better. Aiden Childs also had a terrible fumble. He tends to do that. But I guess where the difference is in my opinion, two different things. You mentioned the refs, and I hate to be the guy that talks about refs. We spent a good amount of the episode a few weeks ago talking about the refs with the Lions, and I think there is some. You and I went into that episode. Like I think there is some validity in NFL refereeing, like we said, whether that's subconsciously, whether that's actually, something, a directive that they are given from the league to help out some teams or, try and get better ratings. I kind of believe that in the NFL. I'm not one to believe that in college. There's just so much turnover. I get Michigan's a huge brand. But I just don't see it at the college level. This was one of the first games where I was like, okay, I counted three major calls that did not go, that ended up going against Michigan State, went for Michigan, that really changed the entire momentum of the game. So we can get into those in a second, but I thought that was a difference maker. And then the other difference maker was Michigan's running game. Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall were fantastic on the ground. There, it's a fantastic 1-2 punch in a game when Bryce Underwood looked terrible and like a true freshman. The running game really carried them. You had Justice Haynes finished with 152 yards and 2 touchdowns. You had Jordan Marshall, who's I believe a sophomore, finished with 110 yards and a touchdown. Like, Michigan State's defense is bad, but we did a good job against Bryce Underwood. Their 1-2 punch of running backs was fantastic for them, and I think that was the difference for me, and why at the end of the game Michigan was kind of able to pull that away.
Yeah, and it was almost like death by 1,000 cuts for the Michigan running game. Like, yes, I think Jordan Marshall, he did rip off one big one in the second half. I think it was over 50 yards. Haynes probably had a couple that went longer than 20, but overall, like, I think it was definitely death by 1,000 cuts there. Both guys, 41 combined carries between those two running backs, and yeah, you mentioned it. They went for over 250 yards total. So yeah, that was obviously the difference in the game. Bryce Underwood's QBR 38.5, and Childs QBR horrible QB play from both of them. But yeah, I thought that, Michigan State did a pretty decent job of battling back, especially going down 10-zip early. And you think, it's probably going to get a lot uglier than that. The Spartans end up scoring in the second quarter there, and taking, a 10-7 deficit into halftime. And you're thinking, well, who knows? Neither team's playing well. Neither team really looks like they want to win. Even though a couple, very, I would say, crazy no calls in the first half as far as, defensive holdings or pass interferences that were just not called on the Michigan defense. So, yeah, that was a head scratcher, but like, all right, I guess those happen. And then, in the second half, Michigan driving in their first possession of the second half, and Michigan State comes up with just a huge strip sack, fumble. They recover it when Michigan's driving, and you think that, momentum is shifted, and then, flag for an offsides, which, like, it's just, even live, you're like, okay, he timed it perfectly. Like, he didn't really look offsides live, but yeah, certainly when you slow it down, like, it's just timed perfectly, and like this, you just can't flag that. Especially when I don't think the flag actually came late, but at least watching it on TV, there was no flag graphic. There was no mention of it until after. So that just kind of grinded my gears a little bit too. But yeah, just, I mean, all the momentum, like, as if Michigan needed a do-over there on that drive. But of course, they scored a touchdown there, score another touchdown in the third quarter. And then, that's basically all she wrote. Michigan ended up, scoring another one in the fourth. I know we had a couple touchdowns late there in the fourth as well. But you're not overcoming a complete botch job by the refs, on top of just having an anemic offense. Michigan State's offense was horrendous. Like, you're not overcoming that either. So I'm not going to be the guy here to say we only lost because of the refs. We lost because our team is shit, first and foremost. But, just those calls are absolutely not helping you if you're Michigan State. So yeah, just all in all, just really, really pissed off about everything.
Yeah, so I have a lot of questions specifically about like where Michigan State goes from here. I want to ask you them here in a second, but I do want to say, like, shout out to Joe Rossi. I know, even in this episode, I was just saying how, like, the offense has done a pretty good job every now and again keeping us in games, and the defense has been Swiss cheese. I thought Joe Rossi, he usually coaches up in the booth, up top. For this game, like, he's a dead man walking, right? I think we'll get to it in a second, but like, I think Jonathan Smith is also a dead man walking, but there's no chance Joe Rossi in the slightest makes it out of the season just because the defense has been so bad. He showed heart. He came down from the press box up top. He was down on the field on that strip sack you were talking about, the one that unfortunately got called back. Like, he was on the sideline screaming, and like, I just saw that, and it was a little bit refreshing, showing it. Maybe it's just like in contrast to Jonathan Smith and the insane lack of emotion that he shows. But like, Joe Rossi, like, I saw the guy on the sideline. I saw his energy. I saw how much excitement and emotion he was putting into that game. Like, he did everything he could to help us win this game. And shout out the defense. Like we said, maybe it was because of Bryce Underwood not playing well and playing like a freshman, but like, the defense kept us in this game as much as they could. You truly, the way the season has gone for this defense, you couldn't have asked for any more. and the offense just, shit the bed. So like I want to give a shout out to Joe Rossi. Like he did everything he could. He did everything right in my opinion. Like he was down there, he was engaged, he was emotional. I wanted to root for the guy, and then you had Jonathan Smith who was just next to him, not showing any emotion, just being like, yeah, well, I don't know. So like I want to give a quick shout out to Joe Rossi.
Yeah.
I think he deserves some sort of credit. It's not going to help in the long run, but some sort of credit.
Yeah, dude, love that, man. He's the 10th. I think he's the 10th highest paid defensive coordinator in the country, and
Which is terrible.
yeah, he's certainly not getting any kind of top 10 defensive coordinator, just out of him. He's just the defense is horrible, and it's not all his fault. They have no talent either. It's a recruiting thing. It's like it's a whole bunch of different things. But yeah, I think his time at Michigan State is probably numbered. But yeah, he was showing a lot of heart, man. So yeah, give him credit there. But yeah, I mean the game was lost from quarterback play, and I mean we hate to call out any one kid. At the end of the day, these are kids, but like these are kids that were not performing at all. Aiden Childs, like, he played horrible. 130 yards through the air. Like we said, QBR under 30. Yeah, I'm looking at the stat line right now. 15 carries for Childs, -7 yards, and I know, especially in college, that sacks are taken as negative yardage there, but. Yeah, I don't know how many of those 15 carries were design runs. It seems like every time they do a design run, it doesn't work. Like he scrambles, he gets sacked. Like his decision making is just not great. When he actually does decide to throw the ball, he's overthrowing or underthrowing receivers time and time again. His footwork is shit. Like it's just, I think, he has proven that he's not the guy. And he's certainly not the QB of the future at Michigan State. So I wouldn't be surprised if, we see him and Nick Marsh both transferring out after this season. Sucks to lose a guy like Marsh. He's pretty much our only good player. But yeah, this game is on the offense because the defense, to your point, and Joe Rossi, they did everything they could to win this game. 31 points. It's not a horrible effort, especially considering that, a lot of those came in the fourth quarter. For most of this game, this defense held in, and the offense just did nothing to thank them.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought up Aiden Childs, because like I think in the perfect system, Aiden Childs would be a really good QB. I think he could be in the perfect system, not even perfect system, just like a normal system, not Michigan State. He could be what we expected him to be, a dark horse Heisman, performing, probably not going to lead the nation, but like going to be someone that can win you some games. And the system has just failed. The offensive line is terrible. He's running for his life every single play. And even when he's not running for his life, he's pulling the ripcord so early because he's used to running for his life every single play. So I think he's really struggling there. But at some point, which is now the third game in a row or something, third or so game this season, we saw his backup Alesso Milivojevic, not entirely sure. I just call him Millie. I saw him come in and get some snaps. There's a lot of questions. Like when he's come in, he's done decent. So he came in against Michigan on Saturday. He went 5 for 6 for 60 yards, averaged about 10 yards per play. That is one touchdown, had a QBR of 83.8. Now, obviously, that was in some garbage time there. But on the season, he's 22 for 37, almost a 60% completion rate, 281 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a rating of 144.6. There's a lot of questions on like, is Millie the guy? Like, do we go to him at any point this season? Do we actually pull the ripcord on Aiden Childs? Do we do anything like that? I just want to know your opinion. Like, at any point, are you sick of Aiden Childs, or is the season so lost that like you've already burned a season of Aiden Childs because we're 8 games into the season, so like you just ride him out no matter what? Are you ever going to go to Alesso?
I think the only way you go to Alessio is if you think that he gives you any kind of chance of making a bowl game. I mean, right now their margins are razor thin to be able to make that bowl game. I think they have to go 3-1 down the stretch, which seems very unlikely. But yeah, if you think that Alessio is going to be the guy to help you go 3-1 down the stretch, I think you do have to make the change and just kind of rip that Band-Aid off and know that Childs is probably transferring regardless. So. Yeah, it's tough. I do think I'm not taking any stock in what Alessio did it's basically garbage time. That last drive when the team's already down at that point, down 3 scores, scored to cut it to 2-score game at the end with 7 seconds left. But Yeah, I'm pretty sure, the Michigan defense was all but checked out at that point. Like, it's just, it didn't matter, right? So yeah, I don't know. It just, I don't care who's checked in, checked out. I'm certainly checked out for the rest of this season. I just don't really care, man. Like, yeah, I think they have zero shot of making a bowl game. We came into it, saying that, that was an absolute minimum with 6 wins on this season for a team that hasn't made a bowl game in like 3 years. So yeah, lose to your rival for 4 years in a row. You're a bitch dog program. And yeah, I'm basically done with you.
All right. So giving that you're checked out, when or if does the Spartans move on from Jonathan Smith? Does he to make it out of the season? Does he get fired just after Minnesota? As soon as like we're non-bowl eligible, do we let him go and cut the rope there? When or if does he make it out of the season this year?
Yeah, I think he makes it to the end of the season, and then obviously they're not bowl eligible, and I think they do move on from Jonathan Smith at that point. And yeah, the buyout's huge. If there's any reason not to move on from it, it's because that buyout is so astronomically big. I think it's over 40 mil. So yeah, I don't know. We got to fork that over. I think they're still paying for Mel Tucker. So yeah, it's always tough having 2 fired coaches on the payroll at the same time, but. I think he's proven that he's not the guy. So yeah, I think you gotta rip that Band-Aid off. You gotta let Jay Blatt, the Michigan State's new athletic director, let him get his guy in there and go from there. There's also been a ton of coaching, the coaching carousel in the college football landscape. I swear it's crazier than ever. I mean, there's so many coaches that have gotten fired. There's good coaches out there. There's decent coaches out there. I think there's a lot of ways that they could, improve at the head coaching position. So, yeah, I think you got to do it this year.
It's almost like you are looking at our show notes and just leading me into these questions because that's where I wanted to go to next. The only thing I'll say about Mel Tucker, are we still paying him, or was it because he was fired in an unceremoniously way? And I know he was suing the university. I don't know if we got out of paying all that because of the way all that went down. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not sure either. I think they probably settled for an amount less than his actual buyout because he was, not wrongfully terminated. He was terminated for, his actions, but I do think they paid him something. So I just don't know what that is.
All right, so let's do this then. Let's go through a few of these names of you just mentioned the coaches that are out there. Let's go through a few of these names that have been fired, and just real quick, yes or no, would you take them, and or would they come here? I think a lot of these guys actually wouldn't. I think a lot of people are like, no, I wouldn't take that guy, and it's like, well, he wasn't coming here anyways. So let's just go through a few of these. Known scumbag Brian Kelly, fired by LSU. Would you take him?
Yeah, I mean, I would take him. He's definitely not coming here. But I mean, you just look at where the program is right now and where the success that Brian Kelly has had. Like, obviously, he's not won national championships, but he had great success at Notre Dame, less success at LSU, but still, like he's proven to be a good coach. And yeah, we need that right about now. I would take him. I know we're not going to get him.
All right. Let's keep going down this list. Next guy, Billy Napier, fired by Florida this year, back in October, a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. Billy Napier, would you take him?
Yeah, I would take Billy Napier. I would take so many guys because, like, yeah, again, this program is dog shit. We are on a trajectory of like 3 wins per season, 4 wins per season. Like it's unacceptable. It's horrible. Napier has proven that he has, he can put together some good seasons. Granted, coaching down in Florida where the talent is just plentiful. So I don't know, if there's obviously just so much less talent in, up north in Michigan, but yeah, I would take Napier.
All right. Staying in the Big Ten, Mr. I can't win a big game himself, James Franklin.
In a heartbeat. Like that's just, yeah, 100% would take him. 100% he will never come here.
All right. What about not this guy? I don't believe he's been fired yet, but I think he's a lame duck, dead man walking. Mike Norvell, head coach of the Florida State Seminoles.
Yeah, that one's interesting. Probably still would, but I'm definitely not as sold on Norvell as I am about some of these other guys. Another guy who is dead man walking, who has not been fired yet, but Wisconsin's own Luke Fickell. Would you take him? This is a name that was thrown around for our job.
He was thrown around. I actually, it's funny you say that because I was just seeing like Matt Campbell with Iowa State. He was also heavily thrown around that same time. Luke Fickell, I feel like obviously, yes, I would take him just because like we're in such a, like I would take anyone, honestly, almost anyone.
I would take anyone.
I don't think he necessarily, I think he's like leaving on super, super bad terms and just like people don't want to play for him. Not just like he's a bad coach, but I think people are actively angry with him in that program. So I don't know if I want to bring that in, but yeah, I mean, like you, I think I'd want to take him. The last name I have here, it's you and I and a few of our buddies have talked about him a lot. Lesser known name, Eric Morris from North Texas, the Mean Green North Texas team. Would you take him?
I don't know a ton about Eric Morris, but he has been all the buzz, especially this year. Again, I'm probably taking anyone over Jonathan Smith. Yeah, I mean, if he's an up and coming guy, I would rather have a more proven coach. But again, we just took a proven coach from Oregon State, and it's not working. So I don't know. You got to change up something. So yeah, I would at least consider it.
Yeah. So the thing is, and I urge all the listeners to look into to him because he is an up and comer. He's doing a great job with North Texas. He's has a track record of finding 0-star QBs and turning them into absolute all-stars. Cam Ward, you got other guys such as that. But the only issue with that is exactly like you said. Like I think the program is in such turmoil. You might need just a name that in itself brings a weight to it in order to stop the sinking, plug the holes on the ship and try and level it a little bit and try and build off from there. So that's the only reason why I would say maybe don't go for the name that not many people know, or else you go with that. Like a coach like that can be successful, but you're looking at a pretty decent, he's got to recruit his guys and he's got to, he's not bringing in all the big transfer portal guys just because he's a lesser known coach. So that's the only reason I would say maybe not him, but I agree. Again, I recommend everyone take a look at him. So yeah, that's really it for Michigan State. Again, Michigan, you guys, you end up getting the win. You're never going to be mad about a win. I think you're right to be a little bit concerned with Bryce Underwood and his underperforming against a pretty poor Michigan State defense. I think Sharon Moore didn't have a great outing as, coaching wise and coaching decisions, but I think you can really hang your head on that 1-2 punch that you have and say like, okay, now you control your destiny. You going down the stretch, there's still a chance you win out. You can make it into the playoffs. You can be the fourth Big Ten team in the playoffs. You obviously just have Ohio State waiting for you at the end of the season. That likely will be, if you win that game, you're in, you're out, you lose, you're out. So you hold your destiny in your hands if you're Michigan, and that's really all you can hope for with a true freshman QB.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to be an interesting game. I don't think anyone's beaten Ohio State this year. So, it's not just I don't think Michigan's going to win. Obviously, I don't think Michigan's going to win that game. But yeah, I think no one's beaten that team this year. So, yeah, we will see. I think Michigan season's probably going to end 9-3, kind of where you thought they were at the beginning of the season, even though you got absolutely, chirped by everyone on TikTok, and so did I. But yeah, props to Michigan for, coming into East Lansing. It's still a pretty tough environment, winning this game pretty handily, even though you had a little bit of help for sure. But yeah, that run game is pretty fantastic. So yeah, it was a good win.
Yep. All right, let's go to a quick break. And when we come back, we will be breaking down the Lions' upcoming game against the Minnesota Vikings. All right, welcome back. That's enough of college football for now. Again, the Michigan State Spartans make me want to not watch football ever again. So let's go to a little bit more fun stuff. Let's go to the Detroit Lions coming off their bye week. We have no game to review, just simply all the coaches and players getting healthy. I think Dan Campbell actually said he cut his coaches loose this past week, gave them some off time, time away from the facilities, time with their families, do maybe a quick vacation. He said that they were given basically everything they have towards this season. So he cut everyone loose, get a little bit of relaxation. They're back in the building. They're practicing. They're gearing up for the Minnesota Vikings at home this Sunday. Kyle, let's start it out with guessing the line at home coming off the bye against the Vikings.
Yes, let's do it, man. And yeah, you said it best, but I'm so glad we're talking about a great football team now and not that shitty college team that I went to for 4 years. But yeah, Vikings at Lions. I think this is going to be, this is an ass kicking. I think this line's going to be pretty big. Just seeing what the Vikings have done throughout the year, and granted, like they've had a couple different guys at quarterback, including Carson Wentz. So like if you ever have Carson Wentz at under the helm for you, A, you're fucked, and B, your season is probably, it's probably already over. But I think they just announced JJ's back. I honestly don't think that's moving the line too much versus Carson Wentz. I'm gonna guess Lions minus 8.5. I think this is gonna be a big line.
So the two things I'll say is, one, can JJ be back if he was never there in the first place? That's neither here nor there. You are exactly right. The Lions are favored -8.5 this week,
Nice.
which I think is right on the money. I would maybe even push that a little bit more, just because like I'm thinking this, like you said, this could be an ass kicking. The Vikings are on an absolute tailspin. You mentioned going back and forth with Carson Wentz. It was rumored that he was like terribly injured, tore his like labrum or something with his shoulder, had like basically an immobilizing brace on his shoulder, but they were still putting him out there because, and if you're listening, I'm doing air quotes, JJ was still recovering from his injury. And then the clip came out of whoever it was bowling down the sideline and basically running into JJ and doing like an acrobatic jumping up in the air and looking extremely healthy just on the sideline. And so you're like, okay, wait, if Carson is really banged up and it's Carson Wentz, and JJ looks healthy, why are you saying he's still recovering? And he was listed as their emergency QB, meaning that he technically was cleared by doctors to go in and play if they needed him to. So like, why aren't you rolling with him? The Carson Wentz experiment's over. I feel really bad for him. I think we've seen the last start of Carson Wentz's career. But it's going to go back to JJ. I mean, I got nothing against the guy. He just was beating the hell right now. So they're going to go with JJ. And so on top of them being in tailspin, starting JJ McCarthy, the Lions are getting healthy. And we've talked about it over the last few weeks. Like when this defense is healthy, I think this defense can be really scary. So that's my overall thoughts. Vikings in the tailspin, Lions getting healthy, probably going to be an ass whooping.
I'm with you there. And yeah, it was so weird, like all the stuff going down with JJ McCarthy. Like, is he injured? Is he not? Is it a soft benching? Is it, I don't know. I think we'll never know the full story of that. But yeah, regardless, he is there. I think that, I mean, if you look at JJ McCarthy, and granted it's a very young career for him, but he's played like what, half of one game of football well, and the rest has been
like one quarter,
very average, or yeah. Very average to below average. So yeah, I'm totally with you on your overall thoughts. Let's jump into the offense, the Lions offense, and the Vikes defense. Just looking at the numbers right now, Vikings defense ranks 13th. So very, very middle of the pack, very run of the mill. They allow 318 yards per game. Their pass defense is definitely better than their run defense. Pass defense ranks 8th in the NFL. The run defense is just their run defense allows 130 yards per game. So yeah, stop me if you heard this before, Tyler, but the Lions are going to pound the rock early and often. Gibbs, Monty, Gibbs, both of them at the same time. I don't know if that's even possible, but it's full speed ahead, and they should have zero issues running the ball on the ground against this Vikings defense.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have zero issues doing that. Andrew Van Ginkel, the star linebacker for the Vikings, is questionable with a neck injury. His estimated return is this weekend, so we'll see if he's actually going to be healthy. But I think we're going to pound the rock. I think we're getting Taylor Decker back. He was technically back last week, but we pointed it out, looked absolutely terrible. Or I guess just 2 weeks ago with the bye week, I think he was able to get healthy. I'll kind of get back in the groove of things. So I think having him back and healthy will be huge. But at the same time, we've seen time and time again Jared Goff absolutely dominating Brian Flores and the blitzing defenses that he puts out there. It's just for some reason Jared's able to make those quick decisions and call him dinking and dumping, whatever you want. Like he's able to get the short ones, but he's also able to find Amon-Ra St. Brown 20 yards down the field. And, I think we'll get to JMO here in a second, JMO for long 50-yard plus plays. So, I think we're going to pound the rock, but I also think we're just going to let Jared do Jared's thing against the blitz, in which he's one of the best QBs in the NFL against blitzing defenses. So I think the combination of those, the combination of the guys that are going to be injured, combination of we're still pretty healthy on the offensive side, if not getting healthier. Yeah, I think their defense is going to have a hard time stopping the offense. We can get to the defense in a second, but the one thing that Dan Campbell did mention, he said he's going to try and make third down conversions a point of emphasis. He's mentioned multiple times during the bye week that that's something that they haven't done really well, which is true. In 2024, they ranked 4th in the league on third down plays, converting on 47.6% of their tries. Mm-hmm. This year, that number has dipped to 37.7%, which is tied for 20th. We're one of the most efficient teams in the NFL on first and second down, but then if we get to third, this year we actually haven't done a very good job at converting in that. So it's going to be a point of emphasis. I kind of am hoping we don't even get to third down a whole bunch, but if we do, we got to call it the right play and be able to convert on that. And I think we do that. I think we'll be fine.
That's really interesting. I'm wondering, do you have that up in front of you? It's no worries if you don't, but the average down and distance on third down this year versus last year, I feel like we're not getting into, third and longs at a high clip. I feel like this is just my perception last year to this year. It seems like, we're basically in third and manageable on most third downs. Just, this offense is just pretty good on first and second down. So I'd be curious to know if it's just more, luck, maybe the schemes aren't as good on third down, or maybe we actually are more, getting into more third and sixes versus third and twos, things like that.
Yeah, so I know I don't have that number in front of me. I know the Lions are averaging nearly 6 fewer plays per game per DetroitFootball.net. That is a decline from, it was 6.41 last year. It's now down to 5.73%. It's a 10.6% decline, to completely nerd out. No, but I don't have the down and distance per third down. But I feel like we are getting into third and longs. And then also I'm just simply off the top of my head, I have no data to back this up. I feel like our third down play call hasn't been that great either. It's been a lot of like check downs or, swing, just like swing passes to the line of scrimmage. Like I feel like it's been a little bit conservative. And so I think that could probably help us there. But yeah, I think if that's a point of contention this week, I see us absolutely being able to convert on those. And like I said, if we even get to third downs, I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of just first down, second down, first down, first down, second down, first down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. This offense is going to cruise. Yeah, especially, at home coming off a bye week. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I feel like, Dan Campbell team's coming off a bye week. It has to be pretty good. Just getting the guys right, getting them healthy, and getting them hungry too. And yeah, this is a game, obviously divisional game. It's an absolute must win. And the Lions are in just a fantastic spot to win. And I do think that there's quite a few guys in the Lions that are due for bounce back games. From that Bucs game, that was kind of weird. We obviously we already broke it down a couple weeks ago, but the offense didn't play great. There's just no way to sugarcoat it. Defense won that game, so I do think that this is a great bounce back spot for everyone in the Lions offense. Not named Gibbs. I mean, Gibbs doesn't need a bounce back because he had probably his best game in his very young career against the Bucs there. But I'm looking at guys like even Amon-Ra St. Brown in the second half, but I'm really looking at guys like Jameson Williams, and he was held without a catch versus the Bucs. And I think the entire Lions offensive staff is seeing that, that stat line, JMO 0 catches, and they're thinking, we got to scheme this guy up, and we got quite a few plays have to run through JMO, both I think in the pass game and then also maybe in the run game with some end arounds, but they are going to get him touches. I can almost guarantee that, and he's going to bounce back in a big way.
Yeah, I agree completely, and we'll get to it or in between the Lions here shortly. But I think. I actually think I feel like we said this the last few games that this is the game JMO gets back and everyone he shuts everyone up and he hits a 50-yard bomb, and we're just kind of still waiting for that ever since. I mean, it's been 3 to 4 weeks in which we haven't really gotten that. And really, since we were that one game, I don't remember who was against, that we were forcing passes to him down the field, and it was just over and over and over again not working. I feel like since then we just kind of went away from it. So I mean, I agree with you. We'll keep saying that every week until we're right, because eventually even a blind squirrel finds it's not right. So let's jump over to the defensive side. You already mentioned the Vikings decided that they're going with JJ over Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, I think, is actually having season-ending surgery, so they don't even have him as a backup. I don't know who their backup is now. But just real quick, a few of the guys that we're getting back on the defensive side because it's coming after the bye. Obviously, Brian Branch coming back from his suspension. I saw some clips from him. He said he couldn't even watch the Buccaneers game. He said he has some growing up to do. He said he enjoyed, if you guys saw that, everyone was wearing Brian Branch jerseys around the facilities. He said he really appreciated that. He gave a shout out to the entire secondary that were playing basically in their all place and said how great they were playing. So he's going to be back. Terrion Arnold is back and playing, so he should be back. Avonte Maddox, who I think is a local boy, a second/third string guy, doesn't get a whole bunch of time, but on a banged up secondary, we're going to need some more fresh legs, so he's going to be back. And then the other guys that started practicing, but we likely won't see this week, is Marcus Davenport. He is back and practicing again. Probably not going to see him this week. Apparently, Dan was a little bit wishy-washy, a little iffy on whether his status, but said that we should be seeing him soon. And then Malcolm Rodriguez, his practice window opened this week, so I don't know if he's actually going to be practicing or if his window's just opening and he's just starting to do some things. He should be coming back here shortly. And then the final two guys that we're not actually practicing, but we're seen working with trainers on the sideline, were guys like DJ Reed, who is someone that we kind of forget we even had. We had him for 3 games and then went down. Luckily, we didn't lose him for the whole season, but that's a whole bunch of guys coming back to this defense against a rookie QB who, like you said, has had truly one good quarter of football under his belt.
Yeah, for sure. It's great. It's great to see those guys get back and healthy. You mentioned Terry and Arnold. Terry, you probably already saw this because this happened obviously 2 weeks ago now. But Terry texted each of our DBs and asked for their jersey size, and then showed up to the Bucks game and gave each of them a Brian Branch jersey so that they could, just rep Brian Branch, free Branch, whatever. So yeah, I thought that was pretty sick, pretty nice of Terrio there. But yeah, great to see that the boys are getting healthy again. I think this is a game where you probably don't need everyone back. So obviously no need to rush anyone. But yeah, it's just, we talked about JJ enough, but I think that if you get pressure on him, make him uncomfortable, and really sell out stopping the run, it's interesting. This Vikings offense is not great. Yeah, they rank 26 overall in yards per game, 296. The pass game, the run game are both below average. Their run game has, shown signs of being decent at times, but guys like Jordan Mason who have put together a couple good games, but Aaron Jones has been out with an injury. He was back last week. Mason, I think they had one other running back too. They totaled 34 yards on the ground against the Chargers for those three running backs. So yeah, I just think this is an offense that is not great to begin with. You throw in a rookie quarterback, you throw in an old running back who has been in and out of injury. I think that nothing about this offense really scares me in any way. So yeah, if you sell out to stop the run, I think there's just no way that the Vikings offense can put up enough points.
Yeah, and Brian O'Neill, one of their leaders on the offensive line, is questionable. He is, again, similar to Andrew Van Ginkel. His estimated return is this weekend, but he's still listed as questionable. Yeah, so do you have the Vikings stats in front of me? Because I have how many touchdowns do you think Justin Jefferson has on the season?
I don't have them in front of me. I think that he's only scored like once or twice. I'm going to say 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he has one. He has 41 catches and 1 touchdown, which is surprising because he's such an elite receiver. He has 602 yards, which is more receiving yards than Amon-Ra St. Brown. It would lead our team in receiving yards, but just 1 touchdown. So, for him, like you said, if you just kind of focus on stopping Jordan Mason and then just bend, don't break on Justin Jefferson, I think you'll be totally fine. And we don't know about Kirby Joseph if he's going to be back this week. He is still questionable as well. Kind of going back and forth. It probably would be held on to for as long as they can until they have to forcibly release whether he's going to be playing or not. But like a combination of all those guys, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, those guys just trying to bend, don't break on Justin Jefferson. And then and Jordan Addison, I think, is actually having quietly a decent year after coming back from his suspension. So like Jordan Addison should be followed as well. But I think you just kind of quietly bend, don't break on those guys and then just shut down the run game. I think you're totally fine. I know it's Michigan on Michigan crime, but I think Hutch is going to have JJ McCarthy in absolute hell this weekend.
Yeah, 100%. I can't wait to see that. That's going to be really awesome. I didn't even think about that matchup. Anything else on the defensive side before we go into a little between the lines?
Nope. I think that's pretty much it for me. I guess we'll wait and see about Kirby Joseph. Again, if he's not ready, I'm going to be okay with giving him another week. It is divisional, like you said, but I'm okay with the team that we're going up against. I think I'm okay with that. So like if he needs another week, let's give it to him. But if he's ready to go, pull the chains. Let's go. Let's get him out there. But no, let's get to assume in between the Lions. Which matchup are you looking at for this upcoming game?
Yeah, for me, it's not even so much a matchup. It's just a player. Already talked about it, but I am very high on Jameson Williams this week. I'm looking at a Jameson Williams anytime touchdown. It's about 2-1 odds, plus 194. I said it before, but I think this is just a spot where JMO just explodes. The Lions are gonna do their damnedest to get this kid the ball after coming off a Bucs game where he had 2 targets, 0 catches, obviously 0 yards. I think that it's gonna be in the pass game and in the run game, and he's gonna find the end zone. I can almost guarantee that. So yeah, plus 184. I think that's pretty good odds. I think he's gonna tear off a huge one, and yeah, that's my between the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, we're gonna keep saying that it's gonna be his bounce back game until it actually is, because like you have to get him involved in some way. And there's been a lot of talk. We talked ad nauseum on this show. There's been a lot of talk online about like, oh, JMO, he's not being used, and like fantasy wise, if you're just following him on fantasy, like yeah, of course he's not putting up points. He's not doing what you want him to do fantasy wise, but he's still doing so much for the team. So like, he's still doing plenty. He's just not actually performing and showing up on the stat line. But I think I agree with you. I think this might be the game in which he kind of comes back. And if it's not, we'll say it again next week and we'll keep going and keep saying that until he actually does. But my in between the Lions, I'm just trying to look up right now to see if there's any odds on this because I would place it if I can. I'm not seeing it. What I'm going to say is I'm going to say 2+ takeaways for the Detroit Lions defense. Now I pause there because it's a lot, but I would almost say like 2.5, take like the over on 2.5, just because I think it'd be crazy if he continues this. But Hutch, we've talked about how good he is at bending around the offensive lineman and getting strip sacks. And I think having JJ start in a big place like this, like just back, after being, like you said, a soft benching, maybe an injury, going up against Aiden Hutchinson, I think Aiden's going to be absolutely gunning to get another strip sack. I think if Kirby Joseph is playing, I think he's same thing. He's going to be back trying to, prove and show what we were missing and go, balls to the wall. So I think the secondary is going to be just ball hawking. I think this defense is going to have minimum 2 takeaways.
Hell yeah, that's so sick. Yeah, and I feel like the defense, they haven't had a ton of takeaways this year. I think a couple games where they've definitely turned the ball over, but overall, I just feel like the defense has been a little bit more quiet. You don't have like Kirby Joseph with like a billion takeaways like in years past. So yeah, dude, I love that. Hutch has been awesome. He just has basically a sixth sense for swiping at that quarterback, getting that ball out. And I think it's so smart, especially in, today's NFL where the quarterback has never been protected more. And, if you sneeze on a quarterback, you're getting flagged for 15. So yeah, man, I love that. I would not be surprised at all if Hutch comes away with a strip sack, fumble, maybe a fumble recovery too. And then, our secondary getting healthy again and, potentially turn in JJ McCarthy over. So yeah, I'm big on that.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into some blind rankings. Before we do, you have some words from a sponsor?
Yeah, let's do it. So this blind ranking segment is brought to you by Distill Union. Distill Union crafts sleek, problem-solving essentials like wallets and key organizers designed with a less is more philosophy. Their durable, intuitive products simplify everyday routines with style. Our listeners get 20% off any one product with promo code GRIT. That's promo code GRIT, GRIT, at distillunion.com. DISTIL Union. Shout out Distill Union for that ad read. Let's get into it. Blind rankings.
Yeah, so we're going to do a blind rankings of Detroit sports jerseys that you want hanging in your closet, pulling out at any time. So how this works, I have 6 different jerseys. I'm going to give them to Kyle. He has to blindly rank them, not knowing what's coming next. Hopefully he doesn't screw himself by putting one too high, too low, whatever have you. So if you're following us and watching us on YouTube, we're going to do we're going to play with the technology a little bit here. We're going to try and share our screen so Kyle can see the jersey I'm talking about. You guys can see the jersey on the YouTube. If you're not, we'll still put it out. I'll put some pictures and stuff onto the TikTok. But if just a little quick shout out, go follow us on TikTok, go follow us on Instagram, on YouTube, everything like that. So, all right, let's get going again. There are 6 different jerseys. Let me make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different jerseys. So blind rank these jerseys as we go along. Let me share my screen.
Let's do it.
All right, so starting out, our first jersey that I want you to blind rank, we're going with the Detroit Lions all blacks with the electric blue helmets. Where are you putting that? 1 through 6. Remember, 1 through 6. Don't know what's coming next. The Lions all black with the electric blue helmets.
Okay. I starting off, I like these. I also feel like you're gonna bring some absolute heat, and there are some just iconic Detroit sports jerseys. These are the jerseys, obviously, that we just wore against the Bucks. I feel like everyone looks faster in these jerseys. Gibbs looks faster in these jerseys. I'm debating between honestly, between a 4 and a 5. 4 would be like kind of right in the middle. I think I'm gonna go hot take. I'm gonna go 5 with these.
Wow, that's way lower than I thought you were gonna go. Okay, I'm a huge fan of these. I love the black jerseys. I just got a Gibbs one this past offseason. I love the black jerseys, but 5, okay, interesting.
I like them. I just feel like it's more. I mean, I don't know. It's not. It's obviously they've worn blacks previously. So it's kind of at ode to those jerseys too from like the mid 2000s. But they're not my favorites, but I do like them a lot. But I think you're gonna bring some heat, man. So I'm putting them 5.
Okay. All right, so then let's go to our next jersey, the next option. So you filled up the 5 spot again, the 1 through 6. We're going to go with our next option, the MSU highlighter jerseys.
Damn it. Damn it. I should not have. I fucked myself. I put the All Blacks way too low.
Specifically football. We're not talking basketball, just specifically football.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's football, basketball. I hate these highlighters. I think they're awful. I think Nike sold us with this. Easy 6. I wish I could put them like 100. I wish that I could move up the Lions All Blacks, but I'm definitely putting these at 6.
I agree. This should be like 10, 15, 20. I don't know how anyone like. I think I did read that like some kids. I know why they did it, right? They did it because like Oregon does like the crazy colors, and kids love the crazy color. Recruits love that. I don't know how anyone could love playing in this, especially with the huge state across the chest. I think people actually did. Some people liked them. I think maybe some of the younger kids. Maybe we're just too old, but I agree.
Maybe
this is
maybe blind people. Blind people might have liked it. Yeah, horrible.
Okay, so you have now filled your 5 spot and your 6 spot.
I totally fucked myself hard with putting the Lions All Blacks at 5. They should easily have been like 3 or 4. I didn't think you were gonna give me the highlighters, man. I really didn't.
I can't just give you all bangers and just have them like 1, 2, 3, 1 A, 1, 2 B, whatever. All right, so our next one that we're gonna go with. So you have 1 through 4 open and available. We're gonna go our next one. The classic Piston teal jerseys, the throwbacks to Grant Hill era. They brought them back for a few times this past year or two. Classically Grant Hill, though, where you put in the Piston teal jerseys.
So good. One of my favorites. I have a Cade Cunningham number 2 teal jersey. I think. All right, this is. I'm debating on putting them in my 1 spot. I don't know what else you're gonna throw at me. I think because it is a throwback, I might have to be a little conservative. I'm putting it in my 2. These are iconic, and I love these jerseys.
Yeah, so you can't, when you're seeing my screen, you can't see my tabs on the top, right? Just to double check.
No, it's so
good,
small.
good. Okay.
I'm working off my laptop, so yeah, I can barely even. I'm really just going from memory. I know these jerseys so well.
Cool. All right, I just make sure because I have them all open. I'm like, you technically could be able to like order them by knowing what's coming next. Okay, wait. So you said
way too
you're
honorable to do that.
You're putting that at a 2. You said.
That's my 2 slot. Yeah, so I got the 1 slot, the 3 slot, and the 4 slot left.
Okay. All right. All right. So let's go with our next jersey that we're going to give. Just a classic red home Red Wings jersey. Just one of the most beautiful kits in the entire NHL. Classic red home jerseys.
Yep. I was waiting for these. These are in my 1 for sure. These are one of the best, I think easily the best hockey sweater in the NHL. I think these are one of the best jerseys in all of professional sports. It's iconic. The wing wheel's iconic. It's so meaningful for the city of Detroit. It doesn't get much better than this, man. You even got guys like, Dr. Cox and Scrubs. They live in San Diego. They're still rocking the wing wheel. That's how iconic these are, man. These are in my 1 for sure.
1. Okay. Was that shown in San Diego? I love that show. Okay.
I think it was. Yeah. We're like SoCal. Yeah.
All right. So you fill up your number 1 spot. Let's go with our next one. We're going to go with the rarely seen Michigan alternate jerseys. You might need to look at the screen. Yeah, you might need to look at the screen for this. The screen I'm sharing for this one because they don't wear it there very often. It's been a few years since they broke these things out, and they are something. A lot of fans were something.
This sucks. I mean, I'm not even going to be a one to say that I appreciate any of the University of Michigan's jerseys. Some were iconic. The highlighter yellow, I just think it was horrible. But yeah, these ones were just bad. And I think that even if you're a Michigan fan, you're going to be saying that, yeah, these were, put these, in the bottom drawer and never bring them out again. They're basically, bumblebee stripes on the shoulder pads. With white highlighter. Yeah, it's just it's all bad, man. Unfortunately, I only have my 3 and my 4 slot left in this blind ranking. I'm gonna have to put this 4. You definitely sold me a little bit on this, but these are in my 4, and these rankings don't show these rankings to anyone. This is tough.
Yeah, I'm putting this together. I knew which, because I'm on pretty much the same page as you, at least ranking wise. But it's just so hard to not know what's coming up next. So we have our 6th and final jersey for you to rank, and obviously you only have 1 spot for this to be. So this has to be your number 3 overall jersey.
Be good, man. Give me something good, please. This is in my 3 slot.
The Red Wings Winter Classic jersey.
Oh hell yeah! Which one?
This one,
they've had quite a few.
so the one, yeah, you can see
One
the
of
one
my
on my
favorites.
screen here, the one to the right. It's a little bit hard to explain. It's like almost like a cream. There's the stripes going across the bottom and the two arms. Cream. It's got the wing wheel with the Detroit across it. It's a classic wing. I don't remember what year this is from, but the classic Winter Classic ones.
Yeah, I don't know the exact year, but all I know is for my 21st birthday, my mom got me a Hank Zetterberg captain these Winter Classic jerseys. Yeah, my buddy Brad has actually had this jersey for like 7 years now, so I don't even think it probably doesn't even belong to me anymore. But technically, it is still mine. Yeah, these are awesome. I'm glad these are in my three. One of my favorite Winter Classic jerseys. Yeah, it's either these or the first ever Winter Classic that the Wings were in. We had like it was like a red and white with the old English D. Those were great too. But these ones that you have on screen, with the the kind of more cream, a bit of a more throwback look, very much iconic. Love this jersey. So I'm glad it's in my three.
Yeah, so I know this was a little bit difficult to explain to people. If you're just listening, this is just a reason for you to go follow us on TikTok, Instagram, subscribe on YouTube. So your final list, you went with number 1, the classic Red Wings red home jerseys. Number 2, the Pistons teal, the Grant Hill era. Number 3, the Red Wings Winter Classic. Again, that's the one with the cream and the red. Number 4, you went with the Michigan Alternates, the stripes on the shoulder pads. 5 was the Lions All Black, which is just criminally underrated in your list here. And then number 6, you went with the MSU Highlighters. I think you got about 70% of that right, and that's pretty good, not knowing what comes next.
I actually almost had it perfect. If I would have went with my gut and went with the Lions All Blacks at the 4 slot, that would have been pretty much the perfect list. But all in all, I'll take it for a blind ranking. And I'm glad that I got the Red Wings, just the classic home Reds at the number 1 slot.
Yeah. All right. So that was just a little bit of fun. We obviously, during these times during the bye week here, we have some chances. Like last week, we dove into all the other sports in which we hadn't been able to cover because we were so much into the Lions. This week, gave us a chance to do fun stuff like this. If you're a listener during the off season, we do a lot more fun things like that: blind rankings, Mount Rushmores, snake drafts, all that stuff. So during the off season, you guys can look forward to that. Again, follow us on all forms of social media, and you guys can get the clips of all those on there. So let us wrap up the show with some grit of the week. All right, Grit of the Week is brought to you by Pins and Aces. Pins and Aces is a Colorado-based golf brand making premium polos, head covers, and gear that perform on the course and stand out everywhere else. This is stuff that is made in the USA and has quality that you can actually feel. The golf season is pretty much over here in Michigan. You might be able to play year-round, so you can still go in and get some stuff down in Texas. The holiday season is right around the corner, so get something for your loved ones, get some golf attire. Our listeners can enjoy an exclusive discount with our promo code GRIT, G-R-I-T, at pinsandaces.com. Again, that's GRIT, G-R-I-T, at pinsandaces, P-I-N-S, and aces.com. Use our promo code for 21% off any product this holiday season. Thank you to Pins and Aces for sponsoring Grit of the Week. You want to kick us off?
Yeah, let's do it, man. My grit of the week. I was going to go with Asar Thompson, who I do think has had a pretty decent start to the season. His numbers are up, usage is up from last season. But I'm actually going to throw it to Adam Nightingale, the head coach, MSU hockey. He just has the boys buzzing right now. They took down Boston University in both games that they played to start the season. Got 2 more dubs after that. The team has been ranked number 1 in the country for the last 2 weeks now, coming in at number 1 again in this week's ranking. So yeah, everything that they're doing, their recruiting has been awesome. Everything on the ice has been just as good. They're in a great spot to win a national championship. They have been for a couple of years, haven't quite got it done, but Adam Nightingale, grit of the week. And just a shout out to the entire state of Michigan hockey. U of M, I think they're ranked number 2 in these rankings, in this week's rankings. Michigan hockey is playing really, really great as well. Wings have been up and down for the past week or so, but overall, pretty good start to the season. Western Michigan hockey coming off a national championship. They are just as good as last season. So yeah, just Michigan hockey is buzzing.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned you're switching your grid of the week because I'm also going to switch my grid of the week. Yeah, they're fantastic. Adam Nightingale has rejuvenated this entire program. Michigan State is back to being not only relevant but dominant. You just mentioned Michigan. Everyone, I mean, the state of Michigan just absolutely dominating the rankings there. So shout out to them. I'm going to switch my grid of the week as well. I also am going from the basketball court to the hockey rink. I had Isaiah Stewart. Just a quick shout out for him. He also is playing extremely well. He's leading the team in 3-point percentage this season. So far, it's only been 4 or 5 games in a season that like we're missing Malik Beasley off this team. Obviously, Cade Cunningham's having a slow start to the season from the perimeter. Just real quick, Isaiah Stewart is leading the team with a 54% 3-point percentage, averaging just under 3 attempts per game. So he is being like basically keeping this team afloat from the 3-point line. But I'm going to switch mine as well, and I'm going to give it to Emmett Finney. Emmett Finney is a guy we talked about a few weeks ago. Actually, I didn't even think about this until you just were giving yours, and I was like, oh, I got to give it to Emmett. He's a guy that we expected to be brought up to the Red Wings club at some point this season. We expected him to play a lot with the Grand Rapids Griffins, but at some point to make his way up here. He was surprised everybody. Eisman surprised everyone and brought Emmett Finney up to the club to start the season. He has just been absolutely phenomenal. So in 9 games he's played, he has 8 points, which is second amongst rookies. He is playing, I mean, he's doing all the dirty things. He's playing extremely well. I laid out his numbers during our episode, I think last week. He was like second or something in top 5 in takeaways in the entire NHL, not just for rookies. I mean, he's a 7th round draft pick, 20 years old. There's not many guys that are 20 years old contributing as he is, let alone being a 7th round draft pick. He is playing insane. He's playing out of his mind. And I think he is maybe the reason in which like we're able to get over this playoff drought hump. So shout out to Emmett Finney, his first grit of the week from us here.
Hell yeah, man. The Wings in general are buzzing. I think they are still near the top of the Atlantic. They've been hovering around there. And yeah, Finney's been, I got Finney fever, man. He's been so awesome. Yeah, 7th round pick, like you said. It's granted, we're only, a couple weeks into the season, but yeah, it seems like he's a hit. He's he's obviously, he was a rising star before he got to the Wings. He said a really good couple of years of hockey before getting up to the bigs. So yeah, man, hope he keeps it up. And yeah, dude, great. Congrats on the grid of the week. Hopefully many more to come.
Yeah, again, he had 8 points, which is second best among rookies. He had a goal the other night in our ferocious comeback that we were down, 4-0, and we ended up winning 6-4. So he's just playing extremely well and playing well with our top line. So yeah, shout out to those two guys. Shout out to hockey in the state of Michigan in general, giving us a float, giving us something to root for, even at the college levels. Shout out to them. But okay, that is our show. Thank you guys for tuning into this week's episode. You can find both Kyle and I on Twitter at Kyle_Marino and myself at Dutton_Tyler. You can follow the podcast itself on Instagram or TikTok at Gridiron Report and on Twitter at Gridiron Report 1. And then finally, you can watch us on YouTube at Gridiron Report, as I just mentioned. We messed with the technology a little bit today, shared our screen, showed the jerseys in which we were talking about for our blind rankings. So go subscribe to the YouTube so you guys can follow along there. Finally, you can join the conversation next week by calling into the Gridiron Report voicemail for us to play and discuss on the podcast. Give us your thoughts on the previous Lions game, some matchups you're looking forward to in the upcoming Lions game, some stuff about the Pistons or the Red Wings. We'll talk about it all. Call into that number. It is 313-306-79. And finally, if you like this episode, please take a moment to rate it 5 stars. Leave us a review saying so. And then again, follow us on all forms of social media. We're putting stuff out every single day. A good, bad, and ugly of us. So make sure you guys are following that. Thanks to you for listening.
Thanks, y'all. Restore the roar.
Yeah. Every highlight's a journey, roads paved with fire, sweat, tears, and hustle that never expire. From the rookies on the rise to the old hands retired. Grit Iron is the place for fans to conspire. Hustle on, blast beats thunder and loud. Champions are born from the roar of the crowd. The Gridiron Report where the stories are proud. Tune in, bring the heat, make your fandom a vow.